This is a rather large wheat checks falling here with dust shooting out behind it. Is the building just turning to dust? Why? This is Tower 2, closer to the ground. Do you see any solid pieces of building coming down? I don't. I see aluminum cladding falling, but the rest is this type of dust that seems to trail behind the wheat checks. And then we have dust everywhere. This Cushman scooter kicks up dust that just stays in the air. If you drive down a dirt road, your pickup truck is going to kick up dust, but it pretty quickly settles out. This does not settle out like that.
The reason the dust stays in the air is because of the ultra-fine particle size, below 1/4 of a micron in diameter. Thomas Cahill of the University of Davis, California, studied the particle size distribution of the minerals in the fumes. Typical mechanical crushing creates coarse and fine particles. Very fine and ultrafine particles are essentially non-existent. The graph heads to 0 and stays there. Now look at what was measured at ground zero. There is an extraordinary presence of ultrafine particles. This is conclusive proof that molecular dissociation took place. Cahill did not count particles less than 0.09 microns. Is this because he was afraid of what he knew he would find?
Here are 4 consecutive shots, and you can see these columns just turn to dust. Here's a video clip, and you can watch this turn to dust. So is this what happened to the entire building? Perhaps. Let's look at it a little bit more carefully. These core columns that were left standing for whatever reason are strong and rigid. That's a very tall, unsupported column. And the next frame, it starts to tip, and then it turns to dust before it even tips over. And as this dust cloud rolls out, it's very energetic. It looks like it's boiling. It's expanding in all directions. Tremendous amount of dust.
The behavior of the dust clouds greatly resembled a phenomenon seen in volcanic eruptions.
Known as a pyroclastic flow, this eruption of 1,500-degree gas and rock speeds down the mountain.
The disintegration of the buildings was not the only bizarre 9/11 mystery. We have holes.
So let's look at those holes. you look at the scale using these wheat checks here, because we know about what the spacing is on them, you can figure out these are about 24-foot diameter holes, or cylindrical cutouts. Many of them the same diameter. Look how far down the middle of that hole is. It's empty down to the ground level. 8 stories of building, gone. This is a look from inside that hole. You count down from the top, you can count down 8 stories. So you know you're at ground level. Then we have building 5 that was over in the northeast corner. Nice round cylindrical holes. This one turns out there's a roof flap hanging over it, but it's still the cylindrical cutout. This one looks like a larger diameter. But what caused those round holes? We have this cylindrical cutout in the middle of Liberty Street. You notice this outer wall is sort of leaning back, and it's got a cutout missing that lines up with that hole. Kind of interesting. We look down into that hole. It's just what caused the hole. It's open. We also notice these different sublevels have the reinforced concrete bars sticking out of it. And this piece of I-beam is pretty fascinating. It looks like it just withered away to nothing. It's eroded to nothing. Thinned out. And there's another hole up here. So when you start looking at this, you start noticing lots of little holes. And they coalesce into bigger holes. So if we look at all of these grouped together, lift off a few of the wheat checks that are laying over the top of them, we can look down into that hole. And climb down into it. We're climbing down into the basement of the second tower, and to me it looks that these folks are walking through a puddle of water. We may have heard of rumors of molten metal, but I see no indication of it here. And this picture was taken a week after 9/11.
Yet the effects of extraordinary heat were all around. We have this fused mass of steel and concrete that's known as the meteorite. We see the mushroom cloud expand rapidly upwards and outwards against the wind. In fact, the Twin Towers mostly disintegrated into shooting point sources trailing what resembles rocket exhaust. Spraying whipped cream behaves the same way for the same reason. The contents of the can are under great pressure.
And as we get closer to the center of this, it gets hotter and hotter. It's probably 1,500 degrees. We've had some small windows into what we thought was a core at some point, and it looked like an oven. You know, it was just roaring inside. And it's just a bright, bright reddish orange color. See that stuff he's pulling out? What was that, Chief? We're gonna hold off on the water. See the stuff he's pulling out? Yeah. It's red hot.
Another interesting phenomenon is toasted cars. Large number of toasted cars. I don't mean just a few burnout cars. I mean this weird things happening that don't make sense. After Tower 1 was destroyed, that's the second tower that was destroyed, suddenly these cars were on fire. There's mountains of paper in between, large volumes of paper that didn't burn. Why are these cars over here on fire where nothing between the tower and the car is. And after the fire stopped, we noticed the cars are all rusted. Thanks a lot. Then there's cars over on FDR Drive that had another peculiar pattern to them. This door looks like it just wilted, and the frames for the windows flopped over. I don't know what happened to his front tire, but it looks like he still has the steel belting of the tire in it, so he had radial tires. Fires don't cause steel to melt. And we have various other interesting patterns. This vehicle was parked a building away on the other side of the post office. What happened to it? If it had debris fall through it, why isn't the roof destroyed? This side's eaten out, wheels eaten. Fire, spontaneous combustion. Here's that toasted lot. Paint is fine here, not here. And don't know what that is. Is it a car, truck? I call it the what's it car. This vehicle is sitting on top of this one. Why is it so rusted? This is the day after 9/11.
Look at these two cars placed on top of one another. I think when you think about the impact that these planes must have had, it's hard to visualize it because everything melted. But here, at least you have some remnants. You have literally an engine that is melded together with other parts of the car. Moving over, you've got another car they moved here. It looks like it's been through a war. You can see the papers, all the burned out papers from the building. You see the soot and the dirt, and it just shows you how devastating this blast was. Look across the street there. You've got a Con Ed truck that, you know, some of the Con Ed people now looking at, examining, trying to figure out which truck that actually was. But that truck too, in terrible shape. So while many of the items, the steel was literally melted.
We see more of these strange phenomena. Cars burning, not paper. Paper in the tree lost its leaves. Paper on the ground, only vehicles burning. That's pretty aggressive burning. Another one lost its engine. Where'd it go? Same here. Engine's gone. So is the cab. And the ladder's just kind of wilted down over it. Van with missing door handles. That seemed to be a common theme. A lot of door handles gone. Different kind of material. This is West Broadway. So what happened on that street? Here's a top view of that same street. This aggressive cloud looks like it did something unique, because all the vehicles along this street were toasted.